A historic day of motorsports at the Speedway capital of the world, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, caps off with a race that gave me and a lot of fans 2008 vibes. Chaotic and tire failure was the main problem with this race. What is up, everyone? My name is Jack Cross. Welcome back to the episode of Inside the Lines Victory Stop. The 2020 Brickyard 400 has just concluded, and it gave me, and I'm pretty sure a lot of fans, vibes of 2008, as I said in the intro, right before I began filming. Tire failures and unpredictability. That was really the theme of this race, specifically with the second half of it. The first half was your typical Brickyard. Boring. To be honest, I don't think there was a single pass for the lead that didn't involve someone having a problem or a restart or an incident on pit road. Not a single pass, I believe, was clean. And we're going to discuss the issues with Indianapolis Motor Speedway in this package later on in the show. But right now, let's go over and talk about some storylines heading into this race. Obviously, the big one was Jimmie Johnson. For the first time in his Cup career, he will not be participating in a Cup race due to being positive for COVID-19. Justin Allgaier, who competed in the Xfinity Series for Junior Motorsports, would replace him in the 48 car, and he had to start at the rear of the field due to making that driver change. So like I said, typical Brickyard 400. Joey Logano started on pole, jumbled up on the restarts, and then you start to see things start to spread out. With this package and how bad it is at tracks like Indianapolis, once they start to spread out, it's nearly impossible to catch up and pass. I mean, it's possible, it's doable, but very hard to. Our first moment of the race is a very scary one. Took place on pit road. Take a look here. Christopher Bell, who after a couple drivers pitted, he brakes, and then everyone behind him does not brake, and drivers just slam into each other like Justin Allgaier, Martin Truex, Corey LaJoie, Brendan Poole, and much more. Unfortunately, it involved one or two of Ryan Blaney's crew members. The race was then red flagged as medical staff was attending to specifically a right tire changer, Zach Price, who fortunately, not too long after, gave a smile on the thumb and a thumbs up as he was being carried away on a stretcher to an ambulance as he was crushed. I think this is the impact of him. He got hit so hard that it popped, his helmet popped right out of him. It was a very scary, very, very scary scene, and I think it's just another showing, and it's something that we take for granted. I feel like, you don't really see so much of pit road incidents. Usually we've seen a lot of efforts being made to protect the driver, but we don't really see much talk about on how even the pit crew members, they are in the threat of danger. I mean, when you have 3,400-pound race cars going by you, even as slow as 55 miles an hour, it can still lead to serious accidents. And luckily, since the tragic accident at Atlanta in 1990 involving Ricky Rudd and I think crew member Bill Elliott's team, a lot of safety efforts has been made, from fireproof suits that crew members now have to wear, helmets they now have to wear, padding you have to wear. They make sure to keep the crew safe. So very thankful that Zach is okay. Yeah, luckily we had no more incidents on pit road. But unfortunately, we had a lot of incidents with tire failure on the racetrack. I mean, you had drivers like Almirola, Newman, and Kyle Busch early on in this race report vibrations early on. And this would be the theme throughout the entire race. Now, luckily, Busch, he did not have any problems in terms of tires cutting down on Almirola. Almirola pitted just in case his tire would cut down. Unfortunately, Ryan Newman was not one of those people to get by so lucky. He would end up cutting a tire and was slammed to the outside wall with 10 laps to go in stage 1. That sets up a 5-lap shootout with William Byron out in front due to him pitting that last caution for, I believe, with just 2 tires. He would go on to win stage 1 due to being out in the front of the pack with clean air. And with this package, it is super OP. Doesn't matter how bad your tires are. If you can get track position, you're golden. And he was able to hold off Eric Jones and Austin Dillon, who would end up finishing 2nd and 3rd. When stage 2 began, you started to see some race winning contenders. It started off with Chase Elliott, who started this race on the front row and would lead for the first portion of stage 2. You also had drivers like Matt DiBenedetto, who was having a really good run at this race. He was running in the top 3 for a majority, if not all, of stage 2. He was in the top 10 for all of stage 2, but I believe he was even in the top 3. He had a really, really good car. I was very surprised to see that. And Matt DiBenedetto has shocked me so far this season of how well and consistent he has run in that 21 car, and today it was no different. Unfortunately, Eric Jones, who was one of those drivers that is struggling to stay in the top 16, to stay in the playoffs, he earned stage points, earned 9 stage points after finishing second in stage 1. Unfortunately, that's all he would gain with 26 laps to go. He is another driver, cuts a tire in the middle of 3 and absolutely obliterates the wall. Flames coming out of the car. Luckily he was okay, but like I said earlier on, unfortunately he was not the only one that would have not only crashes like this, but even the same similar outcome of fire just breaking out of the race car. It was a really tough day for the Goodyears in this race. I mean, just tire failure after tire failure after tire failure. It was 2008. It felt like all over again. That trend would continue on with 18 laps to go. Right as the restart took place, William Byron, who started on the front row on the outside lane, I believe on the inside of him was Denny Hamlin, out of nowhere he cuts a left front tire, but luckily in this situation he cut it on the front, back straightaway instead of in the corners like we saw with Newman and Jones. He would hit the wall, but it wasn't as bad as an impact, but it would still bring out the caution. And then once we got back to racing with 14 laps to go in stage 2, Kevin Harvick made an incredible 3-wide pass on Hamlin and Austin Dillon on the back straightaway to take the lead. It gave me 2017 vibes with Johnson, Kane, and Keselowski, except this time Harvick actually cleared both of them before they entered turn 3, but that was short-lived because the caution would come out once again with Ryan Blaney spinning. Luckily for us, he didn't cut a tire, but he did get loose, spun, and hit the outside wall to bring out another caution. And then we get into stage 3, and deja vu to Pocono 1 week ago, where Saturday it was Hamlin trying to chase down Harvick, Sunday was Harvick trying to chase down Hamlin, and today it was Hamlin trying to chase down Harvick. But similar to Pocono on Saturday, Hamlin was able to catch up to Harvick, but unfortunately he could not pass him. Again, due to this package and how bad it is at tracks like Indianapolis, where it's everything about aero and track position is literally God. Hamlin was able to catch up to him, but he could not pass him. So what do if you cannot pass someone on the racetrack? You try to pass him on pit road. And that is exactly what Hamlin did. With 38 laps to go, Hamlin pits. Now, oddly enough, that was the same time with 30 laps to go, Harvick was supposed to pit as well. But unfortunately, when Rodney Childers made the call for Harvick to pit, Harvick apparently didn't get the message. So Harvick stayed out while Hamlin pitted. 1 lap later, eventually Harvick would pit, but Harvick had a bit of a slower pit stop. Not by much, but a bit of a slower pit stop to Hamlin, and Hamlin was able to cycle back and be ahead of Harvick. And then during that whole process, you had Matt Kenseth, who up to this point had a pretty disappointing return to NASCAR. Outside of his top 10 finish at Darlington in his first race back, it has gone nothing to how Matt Kenseth wanted the season to go in his time at Chip Ganassi Racing. Well, Indianapolis, he did say it was a very good track of his, and he was out in front, but trying to bank on a caution. He was trying to play that strategy where he would stay out, a caution would come out, and that would force everyone to come back to pit road, and Kenseth would stay out in front of the field. And that's exactly what happened. Unfortunately, another tire failure would take place. This time, the next victim was Alex Bowman, who cut another tire with 25 laps to go and crushes the outside wall, I believe in turn 2, and that would bring out the caution. Very similar to Ryan Newman, similar to other drivers like Eric Jones, where they would just cut a tire and absolutely obliterate the outside wall. Luckily, though, Bowman did come out of the car okay. So then everything cycled through. Kenseth, Hamlin, and Harvick, well, now the top 3 are really going to be the drivers that are going to be contending for the race win. Well, typical Indianapolis, drivers get bunched up, but then they start to spread out. And it looked as though Harvick was starting to close in, but then he started to fall back, and mainly because, and many people theorize, is that maybe Harvick's car was set up for the short run. His car was very trimmed out on the straightaways, because you would see Harvick maybe be a second back and get such momentum, such speed on the straightaways to catch up to, right up to Hamlin's back bumper at times. But then in the turns, Hamlin would just be able to get away. And it seemed as though as Hamlin was set up for the long run, while Harvick was set up for the short run. So now the question became, okay, Harvick, he has to pass Hamlin as soon as possible, because 21 laps, which is when that restart came out, that's a still pretty good run, and that would play right into Hamlin's hands. And that's what it looked like as the laps were winding down. As we got under 10 laps ago, 9 laps ago, 8 laps ago, Hamlin was starting to build his lead on Harvick. And then you had add Kenseth to the mix, who was closing in on both of them, but specifically was challenging Harvick. Many people assume, all right, Hamlin, he's going to go get away from both Harvick and Kenseth, and he's going to go out and check off all the boxes and earn another crown jewel added onto his list. Unfortunately, in the worst way possible, Hamlin will be our last victim of tire failures. 7 laps ago, entering turns 1 and 2, Hamlin cuts a right front tire, crushes the outside wall, flames erupt from the underneath his race car, and that would bring out the caution. And it was very eerie at first because when after Hamlin hit the wall and this car came to a rest, I believe near the middle of turn 2, I mean, there was sort of this eerie feeling because NBC, the broadcasters, they didn't say a single word. They were all silent. So it gave me a weird feeling in my stomach of, either something bad has happened, like in terms of, is maybe Hamlin okay? Is he injured or what? But Hamlin did come out of the car. But look, yes, I know some people don't like Hamlin, but oh my God, wow. I mean, he has checked off everything. He's won the Daytona 500, has won the Southern 500, and it was about to check off another win from his list with the Brickyard 400, and to lose it like that sucks. But again, luckily he was okay. But man, I don't know what would hurt more, him hitting that wall the way he hit it, or knowing he was that close from kissing the bricks at Indianapolis. But now we jump into overtime, and you had Harvick and newcomer Matt Kenseth. But during the restart, Harvick got an unbelievable push from his teammate. Yeah, that's right, his teammate Cole Custer, the rookie, gave him an unbelievable push on overtime on the outside lane. Harvick was able to then clear Kenseth and get a huge lead on the back straightaway, and Kenseth was just too far back to do anything, and Harvick go on to win the Brickyard 400 for the 3rd time in his career, back-to-back, and it will be his 53rd victory of his Cup career. Kenseth would come home in 2nd, which would bring back another part of history. Back to 2003, when Harvick won the Brickyard 400, Kenseth finished 2nd. You also had this moment on the final lap between Austin Dillon and Matt DiBenedetto. Going to turn 3, DiBenedetto tried to make a hole where it was just not going to work. Dillon sort of blocked him, but both made contact and make pretty serious contact with the wall, and both of them left with crushed race cars and ultimately a bad day, which I felt bad for DiBenedetto because he had a really, really good car, was in the top 10, and I believe they were fighting for the top 10 on that final lap, but ultimately they would both finish 18th and 19th respectively. So let's take a look at the unofficial results. It's either to my right and to your guys' left. Harvick wins, Matt Kenseth in 2nd. Aric Almirola, nice run for him after rebounding from having a pit due to a vibration earlier in the stages of the race. Brad Keselowski and Cole Custer, great job for Custer. I believe that's his first top 5 as a rookie. Good job for that 41 team. Kyle Busch in 6th, who had been struggling a vibration. It felt like the entire race. For a 6th place run, for the day he had, it was salvageable. It was, I mean, he was not happy with the car, I'll just say that. If you looked on social media and saw the things he was saying about the car, pretty explicit. So, at least from my perspective, 6th place, good run for him. But I know from him, he is disappointed, really, flat out angry. What a run from Michael McDowell, the 34 car. I picked him last week at Pocono as a driver to be a surprise pick. He crashes, but hey, he makes up next week. 7th place run, good run for that 34 team, and good run for Front Row Motorsports. They're starting to be a bit more consistent. We're starting to see both McDowell and John Hunter Nemechek run up front a lot more. Nice to see that for that 34 and the 38 team. Tyler Reddick, rookie, another solid top 10 ever for him. Bubba Wallace, another top 10 for him. That's his 2nd top 10 in a row. Remember, he finished 3rd in the Brickyard 400 last year. Richie Petty Motorsports, another team starting to gain some momentum, starting to get better finishes. Great job for that 43 team. And then you got Joey Logano rounding out the top 10. Chase Elliott in 11th, Christopher Bell in 12th, which, remember, Bell was involved in that first incident on pit road. And the front of his car, it looked destroyed, it seemed like. 12th place, good one for him, was even in the top 10, finishing in the top 10 in stage 2. So good run for that 95 team, despite all the issues they endured in this race. Kurt Busch and Ty Dillon 13th and 14th. Clint Boyer rounds out 15th. I believe he finished 10th in both stage 1 and stage 2. Day for the 14 team. John Hunter Nemechek, 16th place for him. 17th is Ross Chastain for Spire Motorsports. How about that? Ross Chastain, always another one of those drivers that seems to outperform in equipment that he's given. Great effort for that team. Top 20 finish for them. 18th and 19th, Austin Dillon, Matt DiBenedetto. We talked about them earlier being involved in that last lap crash. And right at the top 20 was Daniel Suarez. And here are the other notable drivers. 21st, And here are some of the notable drivers. You see there from behind the 20th spot. 20th place, Denny Hamlin. Oh man, tough break for him. He led the second most laps in that race. Did not get the result that he deserved. I thought if he didn't cut that tire, he would have won that race. I just didn't see Harvick being able to catch him back up because, again, Hamilton was building that lead before he cut that tire. Unfortunately, he gets a 28th place finish. Alex Bowman, another one of those drivers that was ill-fated by tire failure, comes home in 30th. Chris Buescher, 31st. Ryan Blaney, 32nd. Eric Jones, 33rd. Justin Allgaier, replacing Jimmy Johnson, who sat out this race due to COVID-19, was involved in that accident on pit road. He would come home 37th, as well as Martin Truex Jr., who finished 38th. Truex's day was just not good at all. He started off in the top 10, but then quickly fell back to outside the top 20 due to an ECU error. Don't know what that means, but something an issue with the engine. He fell back to 20th, and then that's what put him in that spot on pit road to be part of that calamity fest that just pile drove into each other, and he would end his day at 38th. Very similar to what happened him last year, where he slammed into someone on pit road, suffered major front damage, and would kill his day. So, not good for Martin Truex Jr. in that 19 team so far in the past 2 seasons at the Brickyard. Alright, so what would I give this race? This race was garbage. This race was bad. It gave me 2008/2017 vibes in terms of 2017, in terms of weather, because we had to think about an hour or so delay due to rain, because for some reason NASCAR and NBC wanted a 4 p.m. start for God knows why, but we had a rain delay, and that sort of pushed the race into a sort of a tone of, oh, are we going to make it before darkness? Darkness takes place at 9:10, which coincidentally is 9:17 right now at the time of this recording, so just ended, just in time. So that was part of that 2017 vibes, and on top of that, crashing after crashing after crashes. But then you also gave me 2008 vibes in terms of tire failures. I think we had 8 or 9 tire incidents in terms of cars actually crashing, and all of them were huge impacts. Thank goodness for those safer barriers and the new car, the Gen 6 car, because those were nasty, nasty hits. You also had multiple drivers report vibrations. I only gave you a few drivers like Eric Almirola and Kyle Busch. I'm pretty sure there was a lot more drivers that were reporting vibrations. This race was just a mess as a whole. Compared to other races, even the Indy GP, which, it was meh to me. That race I thought was a bit more entertaining than this race. The Xfinity race was amazing. The Austrian Grand Prix for Formula One, what a start. I mean, that race was so much fun, so entertaining to watch. This package is not good. The last decent Brickyard 400 was back in 2007. Coincidentally, that was the last time NASCAR ran the Gen 4 car, or at least what many people view as the greatest generation of NASCAR Cup cars. 2007 with the Gen 4 car between Harvick and Stewart. They had that good battle there near the end of the race. That was the last good decent one. Since then, the Brickyard 400 have been ugh. And this package just sucks at these types of tracks. They just suck. Tracks like Pocono, similar, where you have long straightaways and very tight corners. It just doesn't work for this types of racing. And some of you maybe go after Goodyear for building a tire the way they did. That probably caused all these tire failures. But I think also maybe the package has something to do with this. Maybe because you're putting so much load, because you're entering at such a high rate of speed with the cars because of this package. I think because of the amount of load that's putting on the tires, because all we saw was right fronts. That's the interesting thing. We didn't see any left rear tires. If so, I think we only saw one though. We didn't see any right rear tires. We didn't see any, we only saw one left front tire. Almost every single incident had a right front tire issue. And I believe, if I may be wrong about this, but I think majority of the 2008 Brickyard 400 tire problems was also right front. So yeah, ultimately, it was an amazing weekend. Very cool to see IndyCar and NASCAR do that doubleheader on Saturday. The Xfinity race was, perfect. It was absolutely gorgeous. If you're a new NASCAR fan, just watch the Xfinity series. Just every race has just been amazing so far. The Austrian Grand Prix for Formula One was fantastic to watch. Cup race at Indy, that's what you expect. Again, a mix of 2017 and 2008. So, what would I give this race in terms of an A to F scale? I give it about a C. C minus. It's like a 70. Yeah, I'm just glad. I'm glad we're done with Indianapolis. We're going to Kentucky. Yay! Oh man. Hey, at least good news. The week after Kentucky, or actually no, 3 days after Kentucky, we got the All-Star Race, Bristol Motor Speedway. That's gonna be fun, July 15th. I'm looking forward to that. Now we're looking forward to Kentucky. Yeah, that's it for me. I'm done with this race. Congratulations to Kevin Harvick. He is your winner. Tell me what are you guys' thoughts on the race in the comment section down below. Also, what are your thoughts on from Saturday's races? And if you want, you can tell me your thoughts from the Formula 1 race from Austria earlier today. That race was an absolute banger. But that's enough for me. Until next time, my name is Jack Cross from MDK. Don't forget to like, subscribe, more content, and I'll see you guys next time.